When you look around YouTube in places like Vimeo, but mostly YouTube, you will notice that if you type in the names Rarity and Spike, that you will see a peripheral, and I mean a major peripheral, and I'm doing this on the fly, unscripted, but a peripheral of PMVs, short for Pony Music Videos, or MVs, music videos, or AMVs, animated music videos, dedicated to Spike and Rarity. But that's not all. No, that's not all. You'll even see short webcomics that have been voiced over and dubbed by fans that focus on Spike and Rarity. Heck, one that I recently watched is called Like a Fine Wine. It's a fanfic turned into a webcomic, and it's voiced by none other, or one of the voices being provided is by none other than Dawalsonator, Will, aka Thespio, when it comes to the MLP fandom and community. Now, Thespio is no stranger to doing voiceover work for MLP fandom projects. In fact, one of his most notable roles is as Discord in the Daughter of Discord and in the final chapter of the series that preceded or that came before Daughter of Discord, that being the Bride of Discord, where he voiced in the final part of Bride of Discord and throughout Daughter of Discord, Discord himself. But the point is, Will is no stranger to this. So for him to have basically a Sparity comic, a Sparity story written, I can't think of the name right now, by I think it was a Brony or something, I can't think of the name. Brony Rabbit, I can't think of the name right now. But for him and another fan at the time, I think her name was Rachel, to come out and voice both Spike as far as Will is concerned, and Rarity as far as Rachel is concerned, I think that's her name, shows you that even someone like Thespio is kind of a supporter of Sparity. I mean, Thespio could have easily turned this down and said, no, I don't want to do it, I'm not a fan, or I'm not a supporter, or I'm not inclined to probably want to see it become a reality. But yet, he did it. Now, whether or not he got paid for it, that's none of my business, but he went out and he did it. Now, besides that, there are other comics out there. Heck, there are comics that talk about the next generation, and Spike and Rarity are at the center sometimes when it comes to talk of the next generation or the new generation. There's even a MLP Generation 4 or MLP G4 web comic that's been dramatized or dubbed. It's a short and it's called Different. It's called MLP New Generation and it's called Different. And basically it's a short story where Fluttershy's daughter, who obviously is, is a creation of both Fluttershy and Discord, you can see that, is reluctant to want to go see this new baby, but Fluttershy encourages her in her own way, kind, unique way, to just give it a chance and, see why this baby, as Fluttershy puts it, is so special. Because even her daughter, in this little short comic, doesn't understand why this baby is so special. And then you see the baby. You see the foal, the filly, if you will. And you notice that not only is it like a pony, but there's something different about it. It's got a dragon's tail. And this does perk up Fluttershy's daughter in this little short comic up and even makes her happy by saying, she's different just like me. And then we see who the parents are. The parents are Spike and Rarity. The point is when you come across places like YouTube, you come across places like DeviantArt and Facebook and even Twitter, you will notice that a majority of some of the things you see, especially if you type in certain words, especially for certain words or names, I should say, like Spike and Rarity, you will notice, as I mentioned earlier, a peripheral of art. You will see a peripheral of webcomics. You will see a peripheral of fan fiction. You will see a peripheral of PMVs, pony music videos, AMVs, animated music videos, you name it. You will see a bunch. You will see webcomics that have been turned into comic dramas, even if they're short. You will see a lot of these things. And the reason I mention this is because I want to point out that even though some of these happened and were made and uploaded and created several years ago, there are some that have been made recently, and not just by me. I mostly do PMVs. That is a fact. But recently, we have seen other PMVs by other fans. We have seen other stories created by other fans. We have seen artwork created by other fans that support Spike and Rarity. This, to me, is just an example. This is just a sliver of an example of the huge fan base. And I say that with truth. In fact, from what I have seen, there is a huge portion of this fan base that supports Spike and Rarity. And the reason they do is they have seen this grow since day one. Day one. Episode 1, the first season. They have seen it develop and grow. Now, some might point out, well, there have been moments. How can you say that this is something that could happen when you've had moments where maybe Rarity gets annoyed or Rarity is disgusted or whatever? Look, I'm not saying there isn't been moments in the series where it seems like that. But here's the thing. As many times as we get moments like that, I want you to notice that a majority of the time, the scenes that focus positively on these two outweigh those scenes. And these fans know it. And here's the other thing too. They know that you can't keep using an excuse of Spike's a little baby dragon. He's a kid. Da, 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 da. With all due respect to people like Golden Fox, and some others, you can't keep using that excuse. I mean, if he was a kid, if Spike was a kid, would a kid sing a portion of the closing song or his portion of a closing song, The True Gift of Giving, in the way he did for Rarity and Best Gift Ever? No, he wouldn't. He would not do that. And look, I get what some people are saying. I get some people coming out and saying, well, Brian, even if they keep up the whole Spike, Rarity, Sparity deal, how do you and everybody else know that these two will end up together? How do you know that's going to occur? How do you know they'll even dedicate an episode to make that happen? And I'll tell you honestly, I don't. But I do know that somehow, some way, it's going to get acknowledged. I don't know how, but it will get acknowledged. You see, one thing a lot of people bring up is when the show ends, it's going to end with the book closing just like it opened. But as we know with these kind of shows, when that happens, usually when the book closes, we are then shown the individual that's been reading the story and who they've been reading to. So who's to say that it won't be Twilight that we see closing the book after reading the stories of the adventures her and her friends went through to a new younger generation, and part of that new younger generation, we see what looks like a hybrid between a unicorn and a dragon, and maybe it has the same kind of main style as Rarity, with maybe a little bit of green or purple streak down a fully fooled out green or purple hairstyle or colored hairstyle like Rarity's, and maybe her tail shaped like a dragon, again with a little bit of maybe a pony curl or something like that. Who's to say we won't see a hybrid? A lot of fans have pictured what a character like her would look like, or an offspring of Spike and Rarity's would look like. The point is, who's to say we won't see that, and that itself would be confirmation. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, I get that some people don't like the idea that these two have always been teased since day one. Some people have felt that it's not going anywhere and it needs to stop. But let me ask you this. As I've said before, if it was never meant to be, if it never should have happened, don't you think Hasbro, under Megan McCarthy's run, would have ended it? She slowed it down, yes. She had moments in there, yes. But she did not bring it back into focus as much as Nicole Dubuque did. She did not try to give it some focus like Lauren Faust did. Point is, ladies and gentlemen, if this was never meant to be, Hasbro wouldn't keep pursuing it. Well, not just Hasbro, but the creative staff behind the show, like Nicole Dubuque, Josh Haber, Jim Miller, Stephen Davis, you name it, they would not keep pursuing it. Kim Bayer-Johnson would not keep pursuing it. Joanne Christine, the lady writers, would not keep pursuing it. They keep pursuing it because they know fans want to see something come out of it, and they want to see both have a happy ending. They know fans could see something positive and happy coming a mile away between the two, but they don't know how or where or when it's going to happen. Like I've mentioned before, Jim Miller says there are some things they may or may not get to. One of those things might be Spike and Rarity's relationship. We may or may not get resolution. We'll have to wait and see. But the point is, sooner or later, something's going to happen. Now, with these leaks that China has been, with these official early release / leaks that China has been getting over the past few weeks, who's to say we won't find out in the next couple of weeks? The point is, ladies and gentlemen, the point is getting back to what I said. You can come out and, with all due respect, you can deny all you want. But when you look at a majority of the PMVs, when you look at a majority of PMVs that you search up on YouTube, you will notice that a majority of them, especially when you type in Spike and Rarity, will pop up more so than any other. And the same goes for fan fiction or fanfiction.net or FimFiction. The same goes for DeviantArt. The same goes for Facebook, Twitter, Vimeo, places all across the board in social media and on the internet. There is not one place you can't go to where, from an artistic standpoint or a social media standpoint, that you can't go type in Spike and Rarity and all of a sudden you get bombarded by probably more fan art and fan fiction stories and pony music videos or animated music videos focused on Spike and Rarity, webcomics that have been, comic dubbed or motion cap or done in a motion style. There's not one place you can't go that you won't see any stuff like that that's based around Spike and Rarity, because you will. And you can't tell me that the people behind the series, they don't notice that, because they do. If that wasn't playing a major part, if that support wasn't there, then yeah, Spike and Rarity would have no business happening in the series. But it's there. Because fans feel that that is one of probably the most legit shippings that needs to be officially canonized before the show's over. And no matter what occurs, no matter how it gets given resolution, I should say, they know that sooner or later, no matter how it gets resolution, that even after the show's done, they will continue it themselves. And even if the comic continues at IDW, the comic people will continue it themselves. Fact of the matter is this, folks. Like I said, in closing, and I will say this, there are those, with all due respect, that can deny this. They can use up any excuse they want, but they can't excuse the fact that when they look across YouTube, they look across DeviantArt, they look across film fiction, fan fiction, they look across places like Vimeo and Twitter and Facebook, that when they look up Spike and Rarity, they're going to get bombarded, probably more so than they've ever imagined. I mean, why do you think when between dark and dawn occurred, and we got that moment at the beginning when Spike got caught up alongside that tree, when that tortoise was eating practically all the apple trees on the Apple family farm? Why do you think Rarity did what she did, running out concerned the way she did? She was the only one in the group. Why do you think when people post PMVs, or webcomics or whatever on YouTube, motion webcomics, what have you, based on these two, why do you think they get more views than anything? Because fans support this. They want to see it happen. They see the legitimacy, and all they're waiting for is from the people behind the series to say, these two are going to become an item, and we're going to show you how it happens. And we're going to give it to you. And you can't tell me that they won't be prepared for any kind of backlash they may get. But you know what's funny? I don't think they'll get any backlash. Because in my opinion, I think the likes of Miss Anthropony, Map, Golden Fox, and several others that are not in favor of it, that if and should this happen down the line before the series is out, they're probably going to be like, yeah, look, they may come out, do a review of that episode and be like, look, I'm not a fan of it, but this is the way it gets resolution, fine. So there are a couple now, okay, we get it. If that's going to be the reaction when it's all said and done, cool. I don't think any of us will have a problem with it. Some may not be okay with it, but in the end, it is what it is. But like I said, in closing, as I'm trying to say, wrap this up to make sure this video is not too long. In closing, you cannot deny the fact that this is one of the more popular ships out there in the fandom. I guarantee you, you go to BronyCon this year, next month. Go to BronyCon. And I guarantee you, those that are attending that event, I guarantee you, if you ask around about what ship people support the most, that's been going on for a long time in the show, I guarantee you people will say Spike and Rarity. And I guarantee you, if you ask them what ship do they favor, and they want to see become official, they want to see resolution 2, you're going to get a majority of answers that say Spike and Rarity. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. If they show a trailer at San Diego Comic-Con and then they re-show that trailer at BronyCon, along with the first 2 new episodes of the second half of the final season, if they show that episode or they show a trailer at BronyCon, the same trailer they might show at San Diego Comic-Con if they do, And in that trailer, you see Spike and Rarity about to be on the verge of kissing each other, or even kissing each other. What are you going to do then? You see, what will your reaction be then, if that occurs? The point is, in closing, we cannot deny the fact, and even those that don't like Spike and Rarity being together, we all can't deny the fact. Let the truth be heard and known. We cannot deny the fact that this is a very popular ship in the fandom. A majority of the fandom supports it just by what I've mentioned. And with the PMVs, the art, the stories, you name it, you can't deny it. I don't think anybody else can. I mean, again, you have Thespio, Will, Dawolsonator, voicing Spike in the Like a Fine Wine webcomic that he posted a couple of years ago. And again, he didn't have to do that. But it tells me that even he supports this ship. I mean, there are those in the fandom, in that very group, that do. Voice of Reason does. Sweetie Bloom does. I Love Kim Possible a lot does. You name it. The point is, maybe not a lot of people maybe at first not. I can tell you that there are those that didn't like it at first that have kind of warmed up to it, like Josh Scorcher, aka Firebrand. So even though there might be some that may not be too thrilled with it, they cannot deny that it's a very popular ship in the fandom. They can't. They cannot deny it. They cannot deny it. I mean, they even incorporate Spike as a freaking human teenager and Equestria girls in their own little web comics or something like that by using the same similar vectors that they use in the series itself. I mean, when people, I'll put it this way, when people do some PMVs or even some top Spike Rarity moments, you know what they've added in some of these to kind of support it? Rarity going out on the dance floor at the end of the first Equestria Girls movie and dancing with Spike while he's transformed into a dog. And this is Spike the Dragon we're talking about. And this is a human version of Rarity we're talking about. You get what I'm saying, guys? Look, I don't want to make this any longer than it is, but the point I'm getting at in closing is we cannot deny the fact, whether we like it or not, whether people support this or they don't, they cannot deny the fact that Spike and Rarity is a very popular ship in the fandom, and there's a good, strong possibility it could be officialized in the series before the series is over. Maybe even towards the end, like I said, in some kind of epilogue moment. Who knows? But that's all I'm going to say, guys. Let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. And I will talk to you later. But I just thought I'd finally just get that off my chest. And that's about it. So let me know what you all think down below. And I am out.